Hi guys, good evening. I am Ilangovan, online axi.com personal for teaching zoology. So last class I started something about the health and disease. How far your health being affected, what are the different kinds of diseases, what are the different groups of diseases what we have during our lifetime. Sandwich we have started actually those which are non-transmittable, but somehow actually know that from the genetic disorders some of them have been transmitted from the parents to young ones. But anyway we are talking about the non-infectious diseases or non-communicable diseases. The first category what we have some metabolic disorders because of some kind of metabolic abnormalities result in the development of diseases. And secondly, we have some sort of genetic variations and differences, composition in the genes, alteration in the genes because of some sort of changes or change in the structure of the chromosome or change in the number of chromosomes. All these things are responsible for causing some kind of disorders in humans. And they're all coming under one category, what we call this one, the genetic disorders or hereditary disorders, because they're all transmittable from the parents to the young ones, not through the contagious agents. Now, and this one we are talking about mainly those disorders caused by the recessive genes and those genes located in the autosomes or the body chromosomes. What I mentioned earlier, out of 46 chromosomes, we have 44 chromosomes or body chromosomes. They're concerned with actually the body characters like the skin color, the hair color, your body size, etc., your eye color, the earlobe, and also the nature of the tongue, everything, all coming under the autosomal chromosomes. And if there is any change in these genes, localized in the autosomes, they can cause disorder. And some genes are dominant genes, some genes are recessive genes. Those disorders caused by the recessive genes are called autosomal recessive gene disorder. What I studied something about. For example, albinism. And we have, for example, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, then SID. So these are all some of the disorders what we talked about in the last class. Now let's proceed further about some more genetic disorders. Those disorders caused by actually change in the number of chromosomes or change in the structure of genes, etc. Now just let us pass on to a disease caused by a dominant gene located in the autosomes. That's why I'm taking the topic defective dominant autosomal gene disorder. We have many diseases, for example, or even the conditions we can say. And some people you might have noticed the two fingers are joined together or the two toes are joined together. That is called syndactyly condition. Syndactyly. It's a condition, not a disorder we can say. So this is syndactyly. Some cases you have the presence of extra finger and that is a polydactyly condition. So it is also an abnormality but not a disease caused by an autosomal dominant gene. But the best known dominant gene disorder what we have, Huntington's chorea, after the name of the American doctor Huntington, the name is given Huntington's chorea. Similarly, we can say it is the first ever known dominant gene disorder, first ever known. And it is also called as a late acting dominant gene disorder. Though the persons have the defective gene, that gene will not be expressed in the young stage. It will be operative or it will be expressive only after the age of 35. So it is being formed between the age of 35 to 40. That's why it is called late acting dominant gene disorder. And the affected gene is normally located in chromosome number 4. The fourth chromosome we have the genes for this disorder. And what will happen? So there is a voluntary twitching of the muscles. The muscles are twitching, rapid contraction, relaxation, progressive degeneration of the central nervous system, some psychological disorders, some kind of illusions or delusions, we can say hallucinations. So these are all some of actually the symptoms associated with this dominant gene disorder, autosomal gene disorder, namely Huntington's chorea. You'll be getting more information while coming up to higher class. So it's up to this level enough for you. Now, so far I studied actually those genes located in the autosomes. Out of the 44 chromosomes, some genes in one of the 44 chromosomes we have the disorder. It may be a recessive gene or it may be a dominant gene. The remaining two chromosomes are called, you know that one in the case of female, two X chromosomes, and X and Y chromosome in the case of male, they are considered as a sex chromosomes. Sometimes the gene located in the X chromosome or in the Y chromosome may cause a disease, particularly in recessive gene condition. So most of the genes causing the disease are recessive in nature, localized in the sex chromosome. And as the genes are located in the sex chromosomes, as they cause disease, such disorders are called sex-linked gene disorder, because the genes are located in the sex chromosome, either X or Y. And also, the gene is mainly a recessive gene, not a dominant gene. For example, instead of A, you have a small letter what we are using for the recessive gene. That recessive gene normally in homozygous condition causes the death of the human being. Lethality, what we can say, the lethality or the lethal effect. So anyway, and now here are some of the disorders caused by recessive genes, particularly located in the X chromosome. That is what they call recessive X-linked gene disorder. Though I mentioned here recessive sex-linked. So what I mentioned here, the four disorders are because of the recessive gene located in the sex chromosome, particularly X chromosome. So that is why it's called recessive sex-linked disorder or simply recessive X-linked gene disorder. Now the notable disorders coming into this category are hemophilia, also called royal disease, because this disease was prevalent and also now prevalent only the royal family members in the queen's families as well as the king's families. So particularly, for example, it was first noticed in the case of Queen Victoria's families. When her son met an accident, there was a continuous bleeding, there was no stoppage of blood, the blood was bleeding and profuse loss of blood, ultimately the person dies. That is why it is called as a royal disease, as it was noticed more prevalent in the royal family members. For example, even one Prince Alphonse of Spain also met an accident, he died because of the loss of blood. So this disorder is called hemophilia, bleeders disease. And normally most of the recessive sex-linked or X-linked disorders are found only in males and absent in the case of females. This is one of the reasons we will be studying more about this one. Because normally if you have a particular gene in one chromosome, you are taking one chromosome, say an example, honorary chromosome, autosome. If you have one gene, as in the case of golden pea plant, if you have one gene in a particular point A, so in the opposite, actually the corresponding position of that gene, the corresponding position in the next homologous chromosomes, we have either small a or capital A. Simply we can say the gene A is located in that point. So we don't have B in that actually the homologous chromosome. These two are homologous, what we studied already under the Mendelian principles. So here in the case of male, this is honorary chromosome. If you are taking male, they have X and Y. Suppose in the X chromosome we have the gene A, there is no corresponding allele, either capital A or small a, in the corresponding position of Y chromosome. Simply I am putting hyphen and dash. So that is why we can say the males are hemizygous, because they have only one gene for a character. We already studied for the expression of particular character we need two genes, but here only one gene is there. And if it is a recessive gene, normally the male is affected. But in the case of actually the females, they have two X chromosomes. If one of the chromosomes have just for example recessive gene, and if the next chromosome, the homologous chromosome, has for example just a dominant gene, the effect of recessive gene is suppressed. That is why the females are not mostly affected with reference to the sex-linked characters. So a detailed study will be made just in 12th standard for you. Anyway, simply the hemophilia, a royal disease or a bleeders disease, there is continuous loss of blood, there is no loss, actually there is no coagulation takes place. The second one, color blindness. That is what we can say achromatopsia. The persons are unable to differentiate the three colors, either red or green or blue. Some people are unable to differentiate red, some others green, some others blue. But some others are unable to just differentiate all the three colors. Such a condition is called color blindness. This is also because of one recessive gene localized in X chromosome, the one responsible for the formation of some pigments in the retina of the eye. Just to perceive the three major colors, what we have, the red, green and blue. So unable to differentiate the three major colors. Then congenital night blindness. Night blindness, also called nyctalopia. It is caused because of the deficiency of vitamin A. It's caused because of the deficiency of vitamin A. Normal conditions. Then it is called night blindness. Unable to see the object in the twilight vision just after sunset. But if it is transmittable caused by a gene, then it is called congenital. So it is also caused by a recessive gene. When present in the mother, it is being transmitted to the child. That is why it is called congenital. Any genetic disease that is transmittable from the parent to the children, then they are called as actually congenital diseases. Now muscular dystrophy, here also one of the disorders because of recessive gene. The person is unable to walk because the skeletal muscles are affected, particularly the thigh region. That is why the persons require a wheelchair. There are two types, you know that one DMD, there is one disorder what is called muscular dystrophy and another type also BMD. So anyway, it is a condition where the muscles are being damaged, the muscles are unable to just work normally because of various biochemical reactions, and that resulted in the formation of muscular dystrophy disorder. So these are some of the examples for recessive sex-linked disorder. So we have disorders caused because of change in structure of the gene. Some disorders are also caused because of change in number or structure of the chromosome. The previous cases what I studied, change in composition of the gene, either in one gene or more genes, either in the autosomes or in the sex chromosomes. Now we have the disorders due to change in number or change in structure of chromosomes. All these things together called as chromosomal abnormalities. Change in structure or change in number of chromosomes. Now we have the following disorders. Again here also there is an addition of individual chromosome either to the autosome or to the sex chromosome. The first three, they are an example for autosomal change in number. If there is any deviation from a normal chromosome number, for example if we have 44 autosomes plus the two sex chromosome may be XX or XY, in the case of all together we have 46. In both the cases we have 46. Sometimes what will happen, the chromosome number may be increased by 1 or increased by 2 or just deleted by 1 or deleted by 2, the maximum. The deletion occurs or addition occurs either just from the autosome or to the autosome, either from the autosome or to the autosome, or actually the deletion may also occur either from the sex chromosomes or addition may occur also to the sex chromosome. So anyway the number of sex chromosomes or autosomes are changed. Accordingly we have different types. If there is any deviation from normal chromosome number where the chromosome number is increased by 1 or decreased by 1 or increased by 2 or decreased by 2, the condition is called aneuploid. The condition is called aneuploid. Increase or decrease number of chromosomes. What is that? For example, in a normal chromosome number 2F, some cases one chromosome is added or two chromosomes are added or one chromosome is removed or two chromosomes are removed. If we have 46, one chromosome is added, we have 47. If we have just 46, when two chromosomes are added, we have 48. In some cases one chromosome is removed, then we have 45. In some cases two chromosomes are removed, so we have 44. So such a change in number of chromosomes is generally called ploidy. Change in number. The number may be multiples of n, or the number may be addition of 1 or deletion of 1 or addition of 2 or deletion of 2. So either individual chromosomes are added or the entire set of chromosomes are added. If only individual chromosomes are added, either 1 or 2 or individual chromosomes are removed, then the condition is called aneuploid. Now here what I represent the disorders, this is because of aneuploidy condition only. The first one, Down syndrome. Here it is a condition of 2n plus 1 Down syndrome. That means these individuals have 47 chromosomes. The second case also 2n plus 1. Then we have 47. 2n plus 1. The third case also 2n plus 1. We have 47. So in the first three cases we have 47 chromosomes. That means that extra one autosome is added. Extra one autosome is added, not the sex chromosome. For example, in the case of Down syndrome, it is also called what is known as 21 trisome because of the addition of one chromosome to the 21st pair. Anyway, one autosome is added. The second one is called Edwards syndrome. Here, 1/18th chromosome is added to the 18th pair. Then Prof syndrome, here 1/13th chromosome is added to the 13th pair. So accordingly, we have increased number to a particular pair. That is why we have, though in all cases 47, the addition occurs two different chromosomes, either to the 21st chromosome or to the 18th chromosome or to just we have in the 13th chromosome. So Down syndrome, formerly called Mongolism, in all cases mental retardation. Edwards syndrome, just actually the head is very small, then the head region actually back region enlarged. Normally the just what we can have, just the earlobes are very small, just micro condition. The Prof syndrome, the upper lip is cleft, divided. So these are all one of the symptoms I mentioned. Just you have to know only the symptoms alone, no names and no symptoms for you. That is included in 12th standard. So anyway, you have to know what is a Down syndrome, what is Edwards syndrome, what is Prof syndrome. In all cases, one extra additional autosome that leads to the development of disorder. Now the next two, Klinefelter syndrome and then Turner syndrome. And where you have the addition of sex chromosomes or removal of sex chromosomes. For example, in the case of Klinefelter syndrome, we have 47 chromosomes. Out of this 47, we have 44 autosomes plus XX, Y chromosome. So this is normally happens in the case of male. In a male, you know that one they have 44 autosomes plus XY1. But in this case, one more extra X chromosome is added so that they have 47. Instead of having 2 sex chromosomes, they have 3 sex chromosomes. That too in the case of male. So this is a condition of a male disorder. The males have 47 chromosomes instead of 46. Because of the presence of extra X chromosome. So they have developed, or there is a manifestation of what is called the feminine characteristics. Or simply we can say these are all individuals male with feminine characteristics, male with female characteristics, and that is called Klinefelter syndrome. Now the second case, Turner syndrome, it is possible in the case of female. It is possible in the case of female. There you have only just out of 2 X chromosome, only one is present, the next one is absent. I am putting 0. So totally they have 45 chromosomes. 45. That is 2n minus 1. 1 chromosome less. The previous case, one extra X chromosome is added to male individual. The second case, one X chromosome is removed. So that we have 45 chromosomes instead of normal 46. And this condition is called Turner syndrome, common in the case of female, or we can say female with male characters. Female with male characters. So anyway, here the chromosomal abnormalities occur because of change in number of chromosomes. The chromosomes are either added or removed. Either 2 are from what is called the autosomes or 2 are from what is called the sex chromosomes. So these are all called chromosomal abnormalities. Sometimes what will happen? The word chromosomal abnormalities also refer to change in structure. Suppose in one of the chromosome, a piece of chromosome is lost. Deletion of a piece of chromosome. Say an example of 5th chromosome. Let us take 5th autosome. There you have loss of a piece of chromosome. A deletion of a small segment of chromosome from the chromosome home. And as a result, there develops one disorder. This is also an example for chromosomal abnormalities. Here we have deletion of a small segment, not number change, structural change. And as a result, we have developed what is called cat-cry syndrome. Cat-cry syndrome. So the newborn child, the newborn infant, just have a high-pitched cry of a kitten, just like what is called mew voice, just like a cat. That is a young one cat. The young cat's voice can be heard when the newborn while just crying. That's why it's called cat-cry syndrome. So this is another example of what I mentioned because of the change in number. So getting more later. So anyway, either because of change in number of chromosomes or because of change in structure of the chromosomes, altogether we have the chromosomal abnormalities resulted in the development of some sort of disorders. So far we have studied actually the first two categories of non-infectious diseases. One, that is metabolic disorder. Now the second one, genetic disorder. Now we are passing on to the next one. Because of the nutritional deficiency, because of malnutrition, if the child is not properly fed, then we have the disorder, nutritional deficiency diseases. First, let us take the protein deficiency diseases, also called as protein energy metabolism disorders, PEM, protein energy metabolism disorders. It is not only because of the protein deficiency, but also because of the energy metabolism deficiency. That is called protein energy metabolism malnutrition, or actually protein energy malnutrition or protein energy metabolism malnutrition, either way you can call it. So there are two different disorders mainly caused because of the protein deficiency. Let us see. One is called marasmus, another one kwashiorkor. Let's take first one, marasmus, and both are because of what is called reduction in intake of protein diet. When the protein is deficient in the diet to the child, then it is of resulting in what is called protein energy malnutrition. Deficiency of protein leads to some sort of disorders, protein deficient disorders. Now in the case of marasmus, it is not only caused because of the protein deficiency, but also calorie deficiency, the energy deficiency. We are providing calorie, you know that one in the form of carbohydrates. When the energy available for the child is less, when the protein in the diet is less, so both together result in the development of marasmus. So marasmus is normally produced because of the simultaneous deficiency. There is nothing but two deficiencies, protein and then calories. The word calories referring to the energy released by the substances like carbohydrates. When there is a deficiency of calorie energy in the diet, or there is a deficiency of protein, the child develops what is called marasmus. Now what are the symptoms? Even you can see the picture, then you can understand what kind of symptom they have. The main symptom, as protein is a major component of the protoplasm, what will happen? You have the loss of body weight. So child loses body weight. Because this disorder is very common in the case of child or infants less than a year age, just below 1 year. Whereas the kwashiorkor is more common in the case of children above 1 year, more than a year. So there is the main difference between kwashiorkor and marasmus, though they are caused by protein deficiency. Let's see the difference also. So in the case of marasmus, it's called two effects. One is because of protein deficiency, another one because of calorie deficiency. Now we have the child loses body weight. There is a continuous diarrhea. The child suffers normally severe diarrhea and extreme thinning of limbs, emaciation. Thinning means emaciation. You have the limbs are just like a stick. They have stick-like limbs. Reason for that, they don't have muscles. This is because of the wastage of muscles. Because of the absence of protein, there is no formation of protoplasm. That is why there is no formation of muscles. As a result, the child loses body weight. I mentioned already it is produced in a child because of protein deficiency. The first one, as well as what is called energy deficiency or calorie deficiency. I'll show the picture of this. Now the second disorder we have kwashiorkor. Unlike the marasmus, here kwashiorkor is produced in a child which is more than a year age. That one less than a year age. And secondly, there it is called simultaneous effect of protein as well as calorie deficiency. But here the color is available in the diet, but only the protein deficiency. This is because the mother is not feeding the young one properly. Or just the next child comes soon, even after the first one is reaching the maximum growth. So that is why the mother is not in a position to look after the already born child. That is why the child is losing weight. The child is not getting protein properly. So now the kwashiorkor, it is a disease caused because of only protein deficiency, not because of color deficiency, found in the case of children, normally infants above 1 year of age. Here also we have just normally, now you see the child just before going to, that is kwashiorkor. You see that one thinning of lips. The lips are very thin. Even the chest bones are visible. The muscles are very less. Child loses body weight. Severe diarrhea. These are the main conditions. Even the body is also looking like what is called actually, that is just like a body covered with a blanket of skin without muscles. A blanket of skin without muscles. So there is actually the condition of marasmus. Child loses body weight. Then we have the thinning of lips and also severe diarrhea. Now let's go to, that is what we have the kwashiorkor, some of the symptoms. Here also we too have the loss of muscles or the wasting of muscles. Here also we have the thinning of lips. But another symptom, accumulation of fluid in various organs, so that the child gets swellings in different parts of the body. So swelling of body parts, edematic condition, what we call this one edematic condition. Accumulation of fluid in the body is called edema. We can write either just with O or without O, edematic condition. That's why the body parts become swollen, accumulation of fluid in the body. And another symptom here, the belly region appear enlarged. You can see in the picture, the next picture. See that one, the difference between kwashiorkor and the marasmus. We cannot see spot like belly or tummy in the case of that is there in marasmus. Only you have the thinning of lips. Here we have the thinning of lips, and due to the accumulation of fluid, you see that one, the edematous fluid, the facial regions. Child normally has more puffy face. This is because of the accumulation of fluid. So these are all some of the symptoms related to kwashiorkor and marasmus. It is above 1 year age, and that one is below 1 year age. And this is because of only protein deficiency. That one is because of both protein and then calorie deficiency. So another nutritional deficiency, one disorder, what is seen, the protein deficiency disorders or protein energy malnutrition. Now we have a number of vitamins, you know that one in your body. The regulatory substances, they are needed only in just actually micrograms, not in case of macrograms. So these are all accessory food factors, unlike the carbohydrates, proteins and fats, they are called as main food factors. We have also accessory food factors which act as regulatory substances, for example vitamins and minerals. They in small concentration normally regulate the various activities of the body, hence they are called as regulatory substances. We have a number of vitamins in nature. It was Dr. Fung who has given the name vitamin. So vitamins are, you know, that one organic substances, just like carbohydrates, proteins and fats, but they require one in small concentration. They do not provide any energy. They do not have any energy value or breakdown. They do not release any energy. But they just normally regulate the energy yielding processes. For example, carbohydrate metabolism or glucose metabolism or fat, or you have the protein metabolism, all being regulated by this one. Because some of the vitamins also act as enzymes, coenzymes. Now let's have the vitamins. Based on the solubility, we have two groups of vitamins. Solubility. Some vitamins are soluble in water, some vitamins are actually soluble only in fat soluble. So those vitamins soluble in water are called the water soluble vitamins. And those soluble in fat soluble are called fat soluble vitamins. So the solvent, you know, I'm using the word solvent. For example, what is a universal solvent? So some vitamins are soluble in water. And whereas some substances like fats, you know that one they are soluble only fat solvent like chloroform, benzene, ether, carbon tetrachloride. So these are all actually the fat solvent. Fat solvents include chloroform, benzene, that is ether, then carbon tetrachloride. And these are all aromatic, you know that one the hydrocarbons, they have the ability of just dissolving the fat, hence called the fat salt. So here, based on the solubility, some vitamins are soluble in fatty solvent. And those vitamins soluble in water are called water soluble vitamins, which include one B complex, another one C. So I am using the word B complex because the B is not a single vitamin, it is a group of many vitamins, more than 6 vitamins. Hence we are using the word B complex, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6. Then we have pantothenic acid, folic acid, biotin. So like that we have many. That's why all the B complex members together called just B complex. And you have B plus C, water soluble. The remaining A, D, E and K are fat soluble. So here we are not going to study the different kinds of vitamins because we are talking about only the disorders only. Now what are the deficiency disorders caused because of the various vitamins are given in the form of general call. Number 1, B1. Each vitamin has its own chemical name. The B1 is called thiamine. The disease cause is nothing but beriberi. As this vitamin prevents beriberi, it is also called anti-beriberi vitamin. Anti-beriberi vitamin. Now the affected child normally having some sort of problem to the nervous system and also cardiovascular system as well as the muscles. So nervous disorder, particularly at the young children. Then we have muscular dystrophy. When you are using the word dystrophy, there is some sort of actually degeneration or the non-functioning of the muscles. That is called muscular dystrophy. So B1, beriberi, the name of the disease. And actually this B1 vitamin is most abundant in rice. That is in actually most abundant not in the rice. That is actually we have the outer layer of the cereals. That's why normally you know that one doctors are advising not to just cook the rice in ordinary vessel. Don't filter the porridge. Always cook the rice in rice cookers. The reason for that one, while cooking as it is found on the outer layer, the vitamin B1 being lost. And we are filtering the porridge. If you are cooking in a what is called pressure cooker, you know that one the vitamin is not being actually removed because it is retained. There is no loss of water, there is no loss of porridge. So anyway, this B1 is most abundant in outer layer of the cereals. It comes later about. So anyway, now the B1 leads to beriberi disease. The symptoms are mainly nervous disorder and muscular dystrophy. The B2, riboflavin. It's also called a pigmented vitamin. The pigmented vitamin because yellow in color, that's why it's called pigmented vitamin. It mostly affects the mouth region in the deficiency. I mentioned for example cheilosis. Cheilosis is nothing but the cracks along the corners of that is what is called the mouth or the fissures. Fissures are cracks along the corners, you may have noticed because of the deficiency. Then glossitis, the inflammation of the tongue. Glossa. Any word ending with the suffix tis referring to the inflammation. Now the glossitis, inflammation of the tongue because glosso, tongue. Then keratitis, inflammation of the just what is called the skin. There you have the keratin fibers, the fibrous protein, they become normally thickened. So we have dry skin. This is because of the riboflavin. So cheilosis, glossitis, and also as it causes burning of the lips, mouth as well as the tongue. We have also another word, for example, stomatitis. The mouth is affected. Stomatitis. So soreness and burning of lips, mouth and tongue because the epithelial cells are affected. As this vitamin is responsible for the normal growth of the epithelial cells. Then B3, niacin or nicotinic acid. The disease causes nothing but the pellagra. So anti-pellagra vitamin. As it prevents what is called pellagra, it is called anti-pellagra vitamin. So mainly we have 3D along with the 4D we can say because the death also occurs. I started with the dementia. So it is called as 4D vitamin. The fourth D is nothing but the death. Dementia. That's something related to what is called the Bright syndrome. Dementia. Degeneration of the right? Dermatitis, inflammation of the skin, diarrhea, and finally the person dies. That's why it's called 4D vitamin. Now, the next one, just B12, the most important vitamin, cyanocobalamin, because it is responsible for the formation of RBCs. When you have the deficiency of this vitamin, there is no proper formation of RBCs, resulting in the formation of anemic condition. What is anemia? When you have less number of RBC or less amount of hemoglobin or both, then it resulted what is called anemia, decrease in number of RBC or decrease in amount of hemoglobin or both together cause anemia. Here I use the word pernicious, that means severe anemia, and that resulted in the destruction of RBCs. RBCs being destroyed so that the person becomes anemic. Then vitamin C. So these are only a few members what I represent. We have many. You know that one, biotin, pyridoxine, pantothenic acid, folic acid, like that is all coming under vitamin B complex group. Now I am leaving that one, just a few is enough for your syllabus. Now the vitamin C, ascorbic acid. The chemical name what is given inside the bracket is nothing but the chemical name of each vitamin, and this is the trade name of this vitamin, vitamin C, ascorbic acid. So its deficiency causes what is called scurvy and this scurvy vitamin. So this vitamin normally responsible for the normal development of the gums. When this vitamin is absent, then we have loosening and falling out of teeth, bleeding gums, loosening and falling out, affecting mostly the mouth cavity. And that is why the falling of teeth occurs. So it's very common in the case of areas where you have actually the sea coast, because the seafood is devoid of this vitamin C. No seafood contains vitamins. You have richest source, you know that one, even it is found in milk. While we are boiling the milk, it is being absent, but it is found in guava. Then actually you have the citric fruits, oranges, lemons, the gooseberry, the richest source, Philanthus. So just in the case of that one, we have actually a large amount of just gooseberry one, which contains large amount of what is called this ascorbic acid. When there is a deficiency, it's very common in the case of people, particularly in sea, just near the people who are living near the sea coast, and that is why it's also called sailors disease. Sailors disease. So sailors are mostly affected because the sailors are normally just used to go for a long while just on the sea surface for catching and for poaching. So they used to eat only the seafood. That is why they are not getting actual vitamins. That is why the disease is called sailors disease. It is very common in the case of sailors. Then the rest of the vitamins A, D, E, K are the fat soluble vitamins, soluble one in fat solvent. Now first one, A, the chemical name retina. It is responsible for the formation of one eye pigment, what is called rhodopsin. So the rhodopsin is normally just we can get it from carrot. It is available in the form of alpha carotene, the provitamin, that is being converted to rhodopsin pigment. That pigment is responsible for seeing the object in the night time. So we have a number of disorders. Number one, xerophthalmia, the complete blindness. Xerophthalmia, complete blindness. Nyctalopia, night blindness, the persons can able to see the object only in light but cannot in dim light. In twilight vision, they are unable to see the object. That is called night blindness and nyctalopia. So blindness and night blindness. We also have some more. Xerophthalmia. Then we have what is called beta stigma, keratomalacia. So many disorders are related to vitamin E. Then vitamin D, calciferol. The vitamin responsible for the metabolism of calcium. When we are using the word metabolism, it refers to almost synthesis, storage, breakdown, all coming under one category, metabolism. And I am using the word that is D is responsible for the metabolism of calcium. Here it is responsible for the storage of calcium in the bones. So in the absence of this vitamin D, there is no proper storage of calcium in the bones. Both vitamin D and calcium responsible for the formation of bones. Once vitamin D is absent, there is no proper deposition of calcium in the bones, so that the bones become brittle, softened. So we have developed two kinds of disorders, one in the case of children and one in the case of adults. So in the case of children, they have developed the disorder what is called rickets. Rickets in the case of children. And then osteomalacia in the case of adults. rickets in children and osteomalacia in the case of adults. Now, you can notice the symptom of rickets in the case of children, some of the symptoms. You could see in the case of such persons. The most important symptoms of rickets in the case of children, you see that one bowed legs, bow. The leg is just like a bow. They cannot stand straight. The legs are arched. That condition is called bow-legged condition. Then also, actually, they have Pigeon chest. The chest is brought forward, just like a bird, where it is more or less triangle. That is called pigeon chest. We are using the word pigeon for a bird. And also, we have the broad wrist, then also broad ankles. And another symptom not visible, what is called knock knees. Knock knees. Knock knees. That is while just flexing the legs, you can hear the tapping sound. That is called knock knees. So knock knees, bow legs, pigeon chest, these are all some of the symptoms of rickets, normally found in the case of young children. Then, osteomalacia in the case of adults. Now the tocopherol, the chemical name for vitamin E, and that is concerned with the fertilization process of fertility of animals, not just specifically in human beings. We cannot say it is concerned with the fertility of human beings. It is only the case of other mammals, for example, cats. So when this vitamin is absent, what will happen? Its deficiency causes the reduction in the ability of reproducing capacity, and that is called sterility. Unable to reproduce properly, inability to reproduce. That phenomenon is called what is known as sterility. Now the last one, vitamin K, naphthoquinone. This is one of the vitamins responsible for, actually it's helping in the formation of one substance what is called prothrombin, a substance taking part in the clotting of blood. So at times of injury, what will happen? The liquid blood gets converted into solid. Then only just it blocks the opening or the injury opening, so that there is no continuous loss of blood. And that is brought about by one substance, prothrombin, a protein. And for the formation of protein, we need the prothrombin, that is vitamin K. It is found in the liver. So that is why it is called anti-hemorrhagic vitamin, as it prevents what is called the bleeding process. Hemorrhage, the bleeding, loss of blood from the body, oozing of blood from the body is called hemorrhagic, and that is one being prevented because of this vitamin K present. Once present, it promotes the formation of what is called the prothrombin that takes part in the clotting of blood. And failure of synthesis of this one, that is what is called the synthesis of prothrombin with the help of vitamin K, then what will happen? Failure in blood coagulation or clotting process. So as a result of the blood being lost continuously, there is a profuse loss of blood, continuous loss of blood. So these are some of the vitamins, and even collectively as well as we have more vitamins with more disorders. But these are all the very important things you have to know. What are the different disorders caused because of the nutritional deficiency? So one, we have C because of protein deficiency. The second one because of vitamin deficiency. We also have developed some disorders because of the deficiency of hormones too. The dwarf nature, the dwarfism, the gigantism. These are also caused because of what is called the over-secretion. We'll be studying more about and the chemical coordination. What are the different effects of the hormones? Either over-secretion or under-secretion, the next lesson or the next chapter. Now let us pass on to the second part of the diseases, communicable or infectious diseases. Any disease that is caused by a parasite, and the parasite can be transferred from one individual to another because of various agents, and such a disease is called infectious disease. Any disease that is transmitted. So normally the disease causing organisms are called, that one, pathogens. And almost all the parasites are causing disease. And these parasitic organisms are actually transmitted. For example, malarial parasite, a parasitic organism living in human body. It's being transmitted from one man to another because of the mosquito bite. So that's why I'm using the word any disease caused by parasite and transmitted from one person to another by the transfer of these parasites is called infectious disease. Any disease which is transmitted How is it transmitted? By means of agents. What are the agents? We'll see now. Now, the infectious disease may be caused either by virus or by bacteria or by protozoan or by means of fungus. These are all more or less microorganisms. And also we have macroorganisms like the worms. They are called helminth. So we have viral, bacterial, protozoan, fungal. These are all the microorganisms. In addition to that one, there are also macroorganisms visible to our naked eye. For example, the helminth, the worms also cause disease. Anyway, infectious diseases are caused by either viral or protozoan or bacterial or fungal or by means of the large organisms like helminthic organisms. Now, for everything that they need their transmission. So unless they're transmitted, there is no spreading of the disease. Unless there is no transmission, unless there is no spreading, and then what will happen? The parasite get not increase in number. Its lifetime gets over. So for increasing their progeny and for maintaining their species, they should be transmitted. And then we can say what is called portals of entry, through which side they enter into the body. Portals of entry. For example, the AIDS virus enters into the body either through blood or through sex organs. Or even if, for example, the cholera, which is the portals of entry, the contaminated food and water, they enter into the body through the digestive system, that is the portals of entry. For common cold, the portals of entry, the respiratory tract or the eye conjunctiva. So, anyway, these are not actually the portals of entry through which organ the parasite get entered into the body. And also how far these organisms are transmitted from one to another. That is what is called mode of transmission, the mechanism of transmission. So the mode of transmission occurs either through contaminated food and water. For example, cholera, polio, typhoid. These are all transmitted through contaminated food and water. Okay, even for example, the helminthic disease, they are all transmitted through contaminated food and water. Almost all the disorders, except for example, the filaria. Most often, actually, the helminthic diseases are transmitted through only contaminated food and water, even amoebic dysentery, the cholera, the bacterial dysentery, normal diarrhea, all being transmitted mainly through contaminated food and water, even typhoid. And some others are transmitted through droplets, while talking or speaking, while sneezing. Now the spray is coming out from our mouth, and that one contains a parasitic organism. If the person is infected, for example, common cold or chickenpox or smallpox, and by means of such small droplets containing microorganisms, the parasitic organisms are transmitted. Most of the respiratory disorders, pneumonia or TB, or we have, for example, chickenpox, smallpox, the measles, the mumps, all being transmitted mainly through what is called the droplet infection. This is number 2. Number 3, vectors. So vectors are nothing but actually disease transmitting agent. They are nothing but disease transmitting agent. For example, female Anopheles mosquito, a vector for transmitting the malarial parasite. Then we have, for example, the female Culex mosquito, responsible for the transmission of the filariasis or elephantiasis. Then we have the dengue fever, yellow fever. These are all transmitted by means of dengue virus. Transmitted by means of what is called actually Aedes mosquito. So those organisms which transmit the disease are the parasitic organisms from one to another are called as a vectors. We have a number of vectors, insect vectors and animal vectors like that. Mostly the insects are. Even for example, we have the rat flea, one which transmits the disease, the plague. Now, the next one, blood transmission. For example, hepatitis B that enters into the body while transmission of blood, or AIDS enters into the body because of the transmission of blood. So some of the parasites also get entered into the body through the transmission of blood, even during organ transplantation like that. Then some diseases are transmitted through sexual contact. That is called sexual transmission. AIDS. One of the deteriorate, you know that one, dangerous sexually transmitted disease. Or we have syphilis or gonorrhea, all being transmitted only sexual contact. from male to female or female to male. That is called sexual transmitted. The diseases are called sexually transmitted diseases. And finally, these are all what are called the direct method. The agents are directly transmitting the disease from one to another. That's why these are all called the direct agents. In addition to these direct agents, we also have some indirect agents. The methods are called indirect methods. For example, common cold that is being transmitted because of the use of the handkerchief of an infected person. So because of the use of object used by the infected person. So we have normally, there are certain things actually, and they transmit the disease. Mostly they are non-living objects, handkerchiefs, the glasses, the pencils, the pens, then the tumblers, the plates, if they are not washed properly. And such indirect subject or the objects, normally the non-living materials, which transmit the disease are called the fomites. So the fomites are objects like handkerchief, the towels, the glass, tumblers, or any other tumblers, or even the pen, pencil, etc. All responsible for the transmission of the disease. They are called the fomites, and that is indirect. First the parasite just deposited on this, and when we are using that object, we are getting the disease. That is why it's called indirect method. So these are all the different methods what we have. Now, under the infectious disease I mentioned, many are caused by viruses, many are caused by bacteria, many are caused by fungus, and many are caused by, that one, protozoans, and also by the macroorganisms like the worms. Now I will take the viral disease. Some of the viral diseases what we are coming across in our daily life. And for everyone you have to know which is a causative organism, the mode of transmission, the site of infection, any symptoms, or what is a preventive measure. Now let's take the first one, the most common one, common cold. It causes inflammation of the nose, you know that one, rhinitis. The inflammation of the nose is called rhinitis. Now what is the name of the virus again? It's called rhinovirus. We have hundreds of viruses. They cause normally the common cold, the most common one. And you know the symptoms very simply. And before that, how are these? Almost all the viral disease, almost all the respiratory diseases are transmitted mainly through the droplet infection and also through the fomites. So droplets resulting from coughing, sneezing from the infected person, or through contaminated objects, what I mentioned, the fomites. So almost all respiratory disorders are transmitted only through the fomites. Then which part is affected? The site of infection. So mainly know that one, the nose and the respiratory tract, the nasal chamber, but the lungs are not affected in the case of common cold. Mainly the nose, the respiratory passage, they are being affected, but not actually, that is the lungs. So it is also called chronic obstructive lung disease, chronic obstructive lung disease. It causes obstruction in the passage of the respiratory system. That's why it's given cold, chronic obstructive lung disease. Narrowing the passage by means of secreting the phlegm or the mucus, that one blocks it. So the normal breathing is affected. So we have, the congestion in the nose. What are the symptoms? Nasal congestion, blockage, and discharge of, that one, the phlegm, sore throat, you have headache, hoarseness, tiredness, along with the cough. These are all the symptoms what we have in the case of common cold, whatever we are coming across everyday life. The season now you know that one. So the cold. The cold is a common disorder during actual winter. People are more susceptible to disease, particularly the elderly people, the young people, and the susceptible persons not having high resistant power. Now the second viral disease is influenza, the flu fever, normally known as it is also flu fever. So one of the symptoms, body pain, the muscle pain along with the fever, that is a main symptom. What is a causative organism? The causative virus is called influenza virus. The abbreviation for that one, AH1N1. The name of the virus which belongs to orthomyxovirus group. The name of the group to which they belong, orthomyxovirus group. And what is the nature of the transmission? I mentioned any respiratory disorder mostly through the droplet infection along with the fomites. It's a common procedure. The site of infection, here also we have the upper respiratory tract. Even the lungs are also affected. Along with you can have a burning sensation in the eye region. This is because of the infection. So upper respiratory tract, nose, throat and eyes. What are the symptoms? Running nose, coughing, sneezing. Then also we have another sore throat. The throat is affected. And one of the symptoms you have, I mentioned fever with the muscle pain. The fever is lasting nearly for 4 to 5 days simply. Simply nowadays it is very common, the influenza fever, the flu fever. So the main symptoms we have the muscle pain along with what is called just actually the fever. Then now this influenza vaccine is available, and that one just prevents the influenza fever if you have given this vaccination process in advance. Administration of vaccine is the main procedure to prevent the disease. Mumps. It is another disease very common in the case. Sometimes sometimes you may see the swelling, enlargement of mainly just actually one or more the cheek region. This is because of the enlargement of the salivary glands. You have 3 pairs of salivary glands in the mouth cavity. One pair is called parotid, another pair is called what is known as submaxillary, another one is also called sublingual. So in the buccal cavity we have 3 pairs of salivary glands. What is studied already in the case of digestive system. They secrete only saliva. And one of the salivary glands, the largest gland being affected, namely the parotid gland. That is why the name of the virus is called parotitis, which belongs to the group paramyxovirus. That is why the virus responsible for causing the disease called paramyxovirus parotitis. Once again, I mentioned the respiratory disorder spread by means of droplets. And the site of infection, the main gland, the main organ affected, the parotid salivary glands, one of the salivary glands. Other glands also to affected only just secondarily. The primary site of infection, the primary site of infection is the parotid gland. Now I mentioned already with the main symptoms swelling of one gland, one or both the parotid glands, or sometimes other glands also infected. Mainly it is because of what is called the swelling of or enlargement of one or both the parotid glands. Now for this one we have the vaccinations available. What is called MMR vaccination. This is a vaccine for 3 different types of diseases. So we have measles, mumps, measles and then rubella. Measles, actually mumps, measles and rubella. These are all the 3 disorders that can be cured, infectious disease by means of single vaccine, MMR vaccine. Okay, so we have the mumps, measles and rubella. I'll tell you more about this. What is rubella? Let's have later. Now we have the measles. The red rashes what we have developed is called as rubeola. The small red spots developed on the surface of the body because of the viral infection is called actually rubeola, the red rashes. Now what is a causative organism? Simply called as a rubeola virus. Again, once again by means of droplet infection from mites. The portal subunit, actually the main organs infected are, that were the skin and also the nasal chamber and also the conjunctiva of the eye. That is why the person has a discharge very often because of the intensity of the viral effect. The affected person very often just there is a watery discharge from the eye because the transparent layer conjunctiva is affected. So droplets, fomites and also by means of direct contact may receive, just the people are advised not to go nearby the people who are affected. Now conjunctiva, the main site of infection, conjunctiva, respiratory tract and also skin. So we have the inflammation of the mucous layer of the nose or the respiratory chamber and also the conjunctiva along with the skin, because the skin develops the symptoms, particularly the rashes. Then the symptoms the coughing, sneezing, as in the case of fever you have all the symptoms along with the running nose because the inflammation of the mucous layer of respiratory passage. As the conjunctiva is affected, you can have the redness of the eyes. The redness of the eyes is because of the inflammation of the conjunctiva. Then ultimately we have developed that with the skin rashes, and that is why the person has itching sensation. So itching and then skin rashes. Again the same vaccine what I mentioned for 3 diseases, MMR vaccine. Now the M for mumps, M for measles and R for rubella. So the normal country measles called as rubeola. Then rubella and the variety, some of the rashes are larger called as the German measles. We have the next one, the German measles. We'll conclude quickly. Now this is actually the German measles or rubella, what I mentioned. And that one is rubeola or country measles. You have the rash first appears particularly in the face and neck region, and then it is being spread all along the body surface, scattered. Now the German measles, rubella. The causative organism, this is called rubella virus. Again you have that is rubella virus, this is rubella virus because of contact and droplets. The site of infection, the same site of infection, the respiratory passage is skin and conjunctiva. And the same symptoms here also we have the fever, rashes, we have the running nose, sore throat and discharge from the eye region. The vaccine, MMR vaccine, or for rubella. So rubella is otherwise called as the German measles, and the normal measles we have country measles. In both the cases we have the symptoms more or less similar, the only just different. The rubella, the rashes are somewhat large. That's the main difference. Okay. So with this I conclude about the various diseases so far as read. Some more we have to go through about the viral diseases because of want of time. I am just concluding my part. We will just continue further in the next section. Till then, goodbye. Thank you.